Creamer Media's Mining Weekly Online is speaking to Errol Smart, the CEO of Orion Minerals. How much zinc and how much copper will the startup position, and when you're in steady state, what will you be producing?
We'll produce about 145,000 tons a year of zinc concentrate at a 50% concentrate grade, and we'll produce about 75,000 tons a year of copper concentrate at 24% copper grade. Obviously, our wish would be in the long term to go to beneficiation and not export concentrates, but there's not a single zinc or copper refinery in South Africa, and you need scale to build zinc and copper refineries. And as I said, Eskom is the stumbling block there. You have to have reliable, uninterrupted, low-cost power to be able to build refining capacity. We're looking with interest at some of the newer technologies. We're getting a lot of people approaching us and saying, listen, you needn't build the refinery yourself. Why don't we look at some kind of relationship? You provide the base feed, you get the benefit of premium pricing, and possibly in the Northern Cape, in the Prieska region, Prieska are trying to get a special economic zone dispensation. And suddenly you've got this whole opportunity of DTI financing and all sorts of development financing to help develop that region. And that's what we'd love to see. We'd love to see Prieska grow out of this. Not all reliant on the mine. It's reliant on the mine and everything that the mine brings. We can't create a job for every person in Prieska. What we can do is drive an economy that can create a lot of jobs for a lot of people in Prieska and in the district and the surrounding area. And that's what we're there to do. We're there to facilitate and to be the catalyst to growth. We can't drive all the growth, and we can't own all the growth, and we can't pay for all the growth, but we can be a catalyst.
In this modern world, and if you're going to use modern technology, the number of people you employ is not going to be as big as it used to be in the old days. But you're talking about a spin-off. How many people will be directly employed, and what sort of spin-off of employment is possible?
Well, this mine, when it operated in the past with Kweri Mantashe building the National Union of Mine Workers, it had 4,500 people on the mine. They used to put 3,000 people a day underground. I don't think we'll ever have more than 300 people underground at any time. We will be a continuous operation mine. Total on the books is probably about 850 people, but using a rotating shift arrangement, so that you've always got one group of people that are on leave, you've got one group of people working day shift and one group of people working night shift, and they just continually rotate with each other. So when you're working 12 hours a day, but you only work for 10 or 14 days at a time, and then you go off on a long leave. So people aren't away from home for a long time. We are already training. I think last week we finished with our first 80 people that have gone through an mining induction program of a week, and we've got 400 people that we've selected for this first training program. Those are local Prieska people or local Siatemba municipal area. So yes, probably about 850 people directly employed. The multiplier effect is still going to be 7 or 8 to 1. It's not about working at the rock face anymore. The world has changed. If you look at the Canadian, the Australian, the American mines, they produce endlessly more minerals than us. They don't kill people. The reason why they don't kill people is they don't put people in harm's way. They use machines to do the dirty work, the hard and dangerous work. People are remote from that. This is this fourth industrial revolution. So rather than have a mine that has lain there for 30 years like Prieska, because as a labor-intensive mine, it would never be functional. It would never actually work. You just continue killing a lot of people. And nobody's going to do that. People's lives aren't worth the minerals in the ground. So for us as the next generation of miners, we've got to find a safe, healthy working environment that can deliver the minerals. Then you've got to win. And that's where we're at the moment. Then you've got the multiplier effect. All the guys at the engineering services that maintain the machines that keep the rock coming out the ground. That's where the value opportunity is. I don't want to employ every single engineer that's involved in maintaining machines. What I want to do is stimulate business people to have engineering businesses that supply the services to us. That's where we've got to win. As soon as that starts happening, as soon as the people in Prieska and Kimberley and the surrounding towns, and Uppington for that matter, realize that that's where the business opportunity is. Become a supplier to the mine. Don't become an employee. Your business will outlive the mine. The mine is just the first seed, as you like, for your business. So that's what we've been trying to do, is work with people to see the business opportunity. We've brought in SARS and IDC and all sorts of groups to help them and do workshops so that they can understand how they build a business plan. We're trying to create a new mine, and it's probably a different mine to what has been seen in South Africa. It's a different vision and it's a different approach. So it's an international mining attitude, but made to work for the South African circumstance.
And then you will also be doing your exploration. This comes from the same mine, and the funds come from the same mine.
No, look, the funds come from investors. Exploration funds come from investors, and that's the reality, and that's how it's always going to be. The mining investors, I've got a different vision to exploration investors. Exploration investors invest for multiples of return. Mine investors tend to invest for a lot lower multiple of return in the early stage. Once you get to bankability, well, then it's your pension fund manager. And if you go to your pension fund and he says, listen, I'm investing in an unproven mine, it's very seldom happens. So there's different levels of investors for different points. So we will always be reliant on equity investment to fund exploration. But there's different structures that a person can do that so that we don't create unnecessary dilution. We'll have a completely separate team. So our exploration team that has successfully delivered the mine now, they've gone and discovered the ore body, improved the ore body, and now they're moving into becoming the exploration development team for the region, but they're separate to the mining team. The mining team must be focused on building the mine and operating the mine. Typically, your mining team is driven by engineers. Your exploration team is obviously your geologists. And we have to have a separation between those two and keep them at arm's length to each other. We've had Independence Group as a very strong supporter of ours. They are, by South African standards, a large mining house, but they're Australian mid-cap mining company, still classified as a junior, although they probably have a market cap of about $3 billion. I speak under correction, but about $3 billion today. And that's how funny it is. In South Africa, the government tells us, the DMR tells us that you're only a junior until you have a turnover of $15 million a year. Elsewhere in the world, $1 billion a year, you're still seen as a junior. And it's elsewhere in the world that the money comes from. So, we've got to get real about junior mining in this country.
Getting real about energy and Eskom, you have done some sort of arrangement for sun power and wind power. How far have you advanced with that?
We're busy with the feasibility study at the moment that could be incorporated into our bankable study. We've got to make a decision about that. You know how sad it is at the moment. So on paper, using a combination of sun and wind and battery storage, we can actually generate cheaper power than is available anywhere in the country and put no further load on Eskom. Eskom says to us, that's fine, but you pay us a 50 million rand monopoly fee. How sad is that? We've got to get away from monopoly fees that stand in the way of developing business in this country. So we continue to speak to Eskom. We've got Juvi, who are a very advanced engineering group, and they build solar and wind and renewable plants around the world for mining companies, so they know what they're doing. They're the right people to drive the process for us. We've just got to find the solution, and unfortunately the solution is hidden at the moment in a lot of red tape. There's a whole lot of activity happening in the Northern Cape at the moment with both mining and the renewable energy. There's massive wind farms under construction and solar plants under construction. So that suddenly Prieska is coming alive, and the Prieska people are getting the chance to really operate in that. Now, these are the guys that are bringing technical capacity, financial capacity, and they're going to enhance our value as Orion shareholders. But over and above that, we've got a lot of they happen to be black businessmen, but we just see them as investors in South Africa that have also been coming to the table and saying, we love what you're doing. We want base metal investment opportunities. There isn't a single base metal investment opportunity for any growth investor in mining in South Africa. We're it. You've either got Vedanta, who are private and large, or little old Orion that's going to build a very important mine, but it's a small mine, relatively small mine to start with, but a very important operation and a growth opportunity. And our vision is to create value in South Africa, real homegrown value. Over the next 2 months now, we'll be delivering our first bankable study. And lest we forget, that bankable study is only on the startup baseline project. We believe we've got a lot more at Prieska and in the Ariaga belt where we're busy working. We've got some of the best base metal exploration opportunities in the world. We've got cheap power available to us because the Northern Cape, remember, is where all the renewable energy is being generated. So everybody is so negative about Eskom. Well, let's hope we overcome the next step and that we don't have to have Eskom involved in the deal when we're doing renewable energy. Because the real dream is that we can go renewable energy. We'll finance it ourselves. The government doesn't have to finance it for ourselves. We'll use it ourselves. And we'll find energy storage solutions that'll work. You know, it's very interesting to see what Anglo is speaking about, Anglo Platinum is speaking about. Using renewable energy, generate hydrogen, and then you use your other homegrown South African solution, hydrogen fuel cells. By using that combination, there's very interesting things that looking like they could emerge. Now you can start looking at beneficiation. You know, trying to go beneficiation without reliable energy supply at low cost is a huge problem. That's why South Africa can't beneficiate. We can't compete with Asian countries. By actually harvesting this whole combined geographic positioning, the renewable energy, fantastic geology, and then all of these South African engineering opportunities and the skill set that we've got, that's what unlocks value. And that's where we all align to go now, is the whole value unlock. Remember, Orion's only been busy at Prieska for 2.5, 3 years. But in 2 years, we've probably achieved what very few mining companies have. We've drilled a bigger drilling program than what anybody's drilled in the last 2 years, as far as I know. And we've almost completed a bankable study. For less than $1 a ton, we've acquired and drilled out a 30 million ton resource and taken it almost to bankable feasibility study. That's what demonstrates what you can do in South Africa. Yes, because we obviously back ourselves. We think that we've got a fantastic team, and I do. You know, between Walter Shamu and Lo van Skalkwyk, we found and developed a fantastic project very quickly. But the key is the geology is there. Without the geology, you can't do it, and there's a lot more to be done. We'll start developing, delivering ore onto stockpile by the end of next year. By 2021, we'll hope to be turning on the mills. And by 2022, you start hitting steady state production. 3-4 years ago, when I said to people, there's a 10-year mine here, and people said, it can't be. Well, I say there's a 15-year operation there at least. There are very few combined copper zinc mines being developed in the world. Most of the copper zinc developments in the world at the moment are on old problem ore bodies where there was a metallurgical problem or an engineering problem or something. This is the only one that actually wasn't a problem at all. At the time, it reached the depth of mining on a certain shape of ore body, and then the shape of the ore body changed dramatically, and that's why it stopped mining at the time. Metallurgically, this was a great mine. It actually produced top quality concentrates for 20 years. So it's a product that the world desperately needs. The world desperately needs copper, and it desperately needs zinc. We won't have enough copper or zinc to change the international market. We will be the largest producer probably in South Africa of copper, and the second largest producer of zinc at the startup. So very significant, but not changing world markets, and with a quality of product that everybody wants. So everybody's coming to us for our product.
You need 3 billion to realize this dream. How are you going to raise all that capital?
Oh, we believe that we'll get about 2/3 of it out of debt financing. Of course, we're speaking to all the banks at the moment, which includes your development finance institutions that are unique here in South Africa. You know, if you go up into Mali or Burkina Faso or even Congo, you know, you struggle to get a partner like the IDC or the DBSA. Yeah, in South Africa, that's their mandate. They're there to do that kind of thing for us, so they're obviously paying interest. The commercial banks, you know, South Africa's got a very big banking institution, and we've got deep capital markets that feed into the banks. So all the commercial banks in South Africa are looking at it. A bunch of the international banks are busy looking at it. I think, if I remember correctly, at the moment we've got more than 9 banks signed up under CA that are busy looking at data and information and working on the financing proposals. We've got 8 the metal offtake players that are looking at taking the concentrates and bidding against each other on that. So we're fairly confident that this is going to be a project that's going to be largely debt financed. It's got very big debt carrying capacity on the basis of the scoping study that we finished in September. The bankable study is well on track to complete in the next couple of weeks. So, you know, we're very comfortable where we're at the moment. My challenge now is to look at the next level of growth.